am Marketing Max. Ruth, what show number is this? We didn't even discuss this before the show.
554.
This is episode number 554. And today we're going to revisit a topic that we shared, probably about a month ago or so.
April 10th.
April 10th, yeah. So on reverse mortgages. And if that's an option here for some of your clients, especially with the demographic that we serve here in Las Vegas, where almost 30-40% of homeowners are retirees or potential retirees here within the next decade or two. And so the reverse mortgage is an option for quite a few of these clients to be able to maybe leverage some of the equity that they have in their home and maybe create a cash flow. And so we're going to share with you some information on that. But before we do that, Ruth, what is happening in Las Vegas?
Well, in
real estate. I forgot about it.
Right. Okay, well, if you see, just listed my happy face because we listed 200 homes yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God, which is fantastic.
We haven't seen a number over 200 in a while, right?
I know. But you know what's happening? People are seeing, like you said, what their neighbors are doing.
They're seeing their neighbors selling for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 plus more than what they imagined they could sell for. So,
yeah. Yeah, and we put 137 under contract yesterday. We have almost 19 days of inventory, so it's inched up from 15, which was our lowest, up to 19. And I think it's because obviously more people are listing their homes. Mm-hmm. And the $1 million market I've been tracking that now. We have 400 listings in the $1 million market. We have outsold 2020 in sales. We have 629 closed homes over $1 million. And all of last year, we just did 618. So we are ahead by almost 2%. And it's just the 5th month of the year.
Wow. So you're saying $1 million plus homes have sold more in the first 5 months than all of last year, right?
Yes.
Now?
Wow. Yeah. And the prices, a lot of these people are not getting loans. So it's making our real estate market even more solid.
Right. No doubt. No, we were talking about that before the show. My kind of quasi max gauge of whether or not the real estate market's overheated is the median income multiplier to the median home price. And it's usually around 5 or 6, where you multiply whatever the medium income for the area is, and multiply it by 5 or 6. And that usually marks the kind of the top peak end of where home prices can go. Because affordability wise, a lot of people can't afford more than 5, 6, 7, 8 times their home price. But right now I think Las Vegas medium household income is about $75,000, 72 to 75,000. So we're right there, 350. You're saying medium is what, 380 now, Ruth?
380, yes.
380. So we're right at 5, almost 6, not quite 6%. So we're peaking up there. But this is good news that there's more listings, right?
Yes.
Obviously, the first few listings coming out right now, I think prices are going to still remain high here. But as more listings come out, that's better for agents and it's better for buyers too, because that means that there's more supply. At one point it could maybe level out the prices and not just create this massive frenzy that we're seeing right now, where we're getting multiple bid offers. But
I see that the real estate agents are learning how to navigate this market. And because their buyers, in the first couple months of the year, were getting very discouraged. Listing agents were getting discouraged. Sellers were getting discouraged. And I think now the real estate agents out there have actually started to gauge how they're going to navigate. The selling agents are giving information more freely now about what they have on the table as far as offers and prices and terms, so that they don't, instead of getting 27 offers, they might only get 17. But and that's a big difference, But the 17 offers are the ones that would be considered anyway, especially if you got 17 cash offers versus 10 more that are loans, FHA loans or whatever. The sellers can say, I don't want to do anything that's not cash. Mm-hmm. The only thing I caution the agents is if you're only going to take cash, don't check the box in the MLS listing that says FHA, VA, or conventional. If all you want is cash offers, don't check those boxes.
Right.
And I think that maybe it's one of those things that we always just check, and
Right.
then at the end of the day, when the seller says, I don't want an FHA, or I don't want a VA, or I don't want a loan, but you've already told the other agents that you'd accept that. So I think some of these little details are being handled better, which is good. Yeah. So I think, like anything, we're professionals, and we have to learn how to, keep the deals together, keep everybody happy as can be, and have a smooth journey through the transaction. So I think that, things are getting better along those lines.
Right. And I'm wondering if there's some type of auction process. I guess it would make it more transparent, but I feel like it's coming. Meaning, do you know what I'm saying? Like where the offer process for the real estate and is becoming a lot more transparent instead of, just like the secretive kind of thing that it causes a lot of friction. And you and I know that when over time with technology and innovation, the players that win, and the reason why these different real estate companies and iBuyer platforms and things of that nature start coming up is because they're removing a certain part of friction within a process. Like in our instance, this industry, the real estate, and part of it is this like non-transparent pricing, bid war. Why not make it transparent? I mean, it's just an idea. I don't know if that everything's going to come to fruition, but someone's thinking about it.
Yes. Well, this year we have sold 20,521 homes this year in the first 5 months. So that's about 138, 139 a day. In May, we did 142, and I was doing a slight calculation before we went live. We have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which the sales closings are not going to be recorded. So if these were like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that number would probably be over 150 again, like it was in April. So I think the holiday kind of snuck in there, and the numbers don't really tell the true tale. But
the true tale.
Yeah, but that'll just make June's numbers better. So it all works out in the end.
Right. Is there any truth to what Aaron's saying? I mean, obviously inventory numbers are going up, right? And supply numbers are obviously going up, but the market is not slowing down necessarily. I mean, how are you feeling about it, given all the real estate agents that you talk to, Ruth? Well,
it's not slowing down, and renters are finally, this is the rental season, meaning that, normally renters move, or people come to town and rent because they want to get their schools, kids ready for school and everything. And what we're seeing is a lot more renters are turning to buying, because if you look at the charts, the rents, they just keep going up year after year. But right now, if you get a fixed payment, on a loan, that doesn't go up. Plus you're building equity. And I think with all the social media and all the news, I mean, almost every day the Review Journal lately has had something about the housing market. So I think it's making more and more people aware, because it's in front of their face all the time. So we're seeing a lot of renters turning to become buyers. And at the same time, we see a lot of apartment complexes going up around the city because we have so many people moving here.
Right.
And that's not stopping. It's just amazing how many people from California are moving here, and New York, and they're coming here with cash. And, when you think about it, the cash buyers really in the future are not going, right now and in the future are not going to hurt our market, because they're not going to be foreclosed on. Unless they don't pay their taxes, something like that. But
someone's going to buy that property if they don't pay their taxes. Yes.
Yeah. So I just think I don't see the market getting slowing down. I don't see them. I think the prices will inch up a little bit, but not as fast as they have the past 6 months.
Correct.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I think our market's going to probably experience, the caveat, it's depending on legislation and how our, governor and future governor, whoever that's going to be, changes rules and regulations and tax laws and stuff like that. But we could be like Texas, as far as a very viable place for businesses to continue to move here. And people are, big companies and manufacturing hubs. Like if you're a manufacturing company of any sort, supplies or distribution company, I mean, Vegas is a great location, with the tax benefits. We have the workforce. I was just talking to another friend, the reason why we can't attract high level type of companies here is because we don't have the workforce to support it. Right. But I take a look at things like call centers or, manufacturer and line workers. I mean, we have plenty of those type of workers here in town. Yeah. And, even if you're making in California, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year as a family household in one of these jobs, it's worth it to move to here to Vegas because the cost of living is less. The taxes, you instantly get almost a 7, 8, 9% boost in income here, and so we can attract that type of workforce. Yeah. And I think over time we're starting to see that more and more now. And hopefully industrial space continues. We have a lot of space on the north and northwest side of town to build industrial space. And as companies like Amazon and Google continue to expand here, and maybe we get another university at one point.
Well, while you were talking, I was thinking, the tax laws, I think that the tax laws may bring more people here, because if I live in California and I have investment properties and they tell me they're going to take away the 1031 tax exchange for next year, right, I might want to do it this year so I can take advantage of that. And if they're going to double the capital gains tax, I live in California or New York or some of these higher price tags states and cities, I might want to, cash out and take 20% hit versus a 40% hit, which is huge. On top of all the other taxes of these, like California, you're taxed at 55%.
Right.
And so if I'm an investor and I want to buy and I want to continue, I just talked to a broker. In fact, we're going to have him on our show next week. And he's in California, and he has his main residence in Los Angeles and Redondo Beach. All of his real estate, and it's in the millions, is in Vegas.
Okay.
And guess who was his agent in 1990? John.
Fantastic.
And John has continued to sell him homes, and he has built a fortune by doing it in cash flow because he's a cash buyer. Yeah. So he's so blessed and thankful that he has put all his money here and not in California, where he'd have to sell it and have to take the possible capital gains hit. He's going to work, maybe 10 more years. And, so I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to stop and think, hey, I better get out of California now before I have to pay, 40% on my $2 million versus 20%. That's a big difference.
And if there are laws
difference,
change,
I can buy a home with a difference in Vegas. Absolutely. And that, I mean, the laws could change where, these states like California, once they start seeing the massive migration out, they're going to try to do something to claw back some of that money. I think at one point, New York was proposing for that you'd have to still pay state income tax for the next 5 years after you've moved out of the state. That's I can't even fathom that.
Right, exactly right. Obviously, it didn't pass, but I mean, they're trying, right? And so I think people are more aware. And now with the social media, with everybody talking and how connected we are, I mean, people are becoming a lot more aware of finances in general, just real estate and the tax situation everywhere. Because you got too many big prominent people moving out of California, and it's all publicly, publicized, and Oracle and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, and so it's coming. So I mean, that's a dynamic that for Vegas here, we're going to benefit a lot from, is the difference between, we're kind of talking about before the show here, with the difference between today and 2007, 2008 during the mortgage crisis and the crash is, one, obviously the home value and demand is not driven by fraud and fraudulent loans and people,
Exactly.
speculating, buying 4 or 5 homes, with 100% financing right now. That's not happening. I mean, the people who are buying homes are coming in with cash. It's because they have accumulated it over the last decade here. And the people, like you showed in some of your stats that you show every day here, is like, the equity that people have in their home if they bought in 2011, 12, 13, 14, especially in states like California, New York and upstate Washington and stuff like that. I mean, they're flush with cash, and then they're moving here for the amenities and for the weather, right? And on top of that, because of all this money printing the Federal Reserve's done over the last now 13 years since the Obama days. I mean, I think we have, what do they print? Like almost 14 to 16 trillion dollars more in money, in the form of debt, obviously, to the U.S. government. But that money is, once it's printed, it doesn't disappear, and it ends up landing in the hands of investors, big institutions, and corporations. And that's why we see large private hedge funds and private equity companies forming, these funds to buy up these real estate, to buy and hold, not to buy and sell.
No, right.
But to buy and hold.
And I don't know, did I tell you this last week that Zillow has bought 62,000 homes that they paid cash for to hold,
right?
Not to sell. 62,000 across the United States. Zillow, which is a brokerage company now, as well as, an online platform, 62,000 homes. And hedge funds are buying homes again. And there's a reason, it's the best hedge against inflation.
Exactly right. So we have two dynamics that are going to drive asset prices. Low interest rate environment, right? So actually, cash is king is not the saying right now. Cash is trash is actually the new saying in this era of low interest rates.
Yes.
Right. Because that's what corporations are doing. They're leveraging up because if you can borrow for 2%, 3%, and then go out and form a fund that invests in real estate. And even if you get a, internal rate of return of 5-6%, which is typically very low for a real estate investment, right? If you calculate in, the appreciation over time and then any type of rent and return, right? Typical cap rates on rents are usually right around 7%, right? On average, like I think historically, you probably know better than I do.
You're right. You're exactly right.
7%, right? So
that's before the tax advantages.
That's before the tax advantages and the depreciation that you can do. So, I mean, overall, internal rate of returns are north of 10, 12, 13, 14, 15% historically. And so, these hedge funds are looking at this money and they're like, we're sitting on this pile of cash here that if we leave it in the bank, it's going to earn 0.1, 0.2%, right? We can lend it out potentially. But what are consumers going to pay or what can the market bear? 3, 4%, 5% right now. But if we buy a piece of real estate here and get a, straight 5, 6% rate of return, and then use the tax advantages, use some of the other things that go along with owning real estate, and your internal rate of return balloons up to 10, 15%. And that's why people, big corporations are leveraging, billions of dollars to do this, because in the long run. And then the second element is, like you said, inflation. So the last place you want to be in a hyperinflationary period of time is in cash.
Right.
So just give you, let's do the math here. So example right now, the published federal inflation rate right now is 4.16 for the month of April, year over year.
4.16%.
4.16. So that's the published rate, which means they have their own calculation, but it doesn't include food and gas prices, right? So we'll just use that, and then we'll
so do that's not food or gas.
Correct. So 4.16.
I'm writing this down.
Right. So last year, that means that your dollar in April of 2020, April of 2021 now only buys $95 and 84 cents worth of products, goods and services. So you literally almost lost almost $4.16 off the buying power. All right. So, but the real inflation, the inflation that affects consumers like you and I, real inflation is probably more like 10%, maybe 15%, because if we include gas prices and food prices, gas prices have gone up 30% since the beginning of the year.
Gas,
right? Gas, like fuel, gasoline.
Right.
So here in Vegas, prior to January 1st, unleaded was $2.75 a gallon. Today, it sits at $3.75,
Wow.
$3.65, right? So, I mean, we're talking about almost 30% increase.
Yeah.
And then food prices have gone up about 10, 15% as well. So
Wow.
let's take a conservative number of 10% is really what we call, real inflation, right? Which means because our dollar last year now only buys 90 cents worth of goods and services.
Right.
On average. So that's a 10% automatic reduction in money. And if you're sitting in cash earning 0.1, 0.2%, right, with no long-term purpose for the money. Now, I'm not talking about, emergency money that you need to, like fix your air conditioning, or like if you lose your job for the next 3 months, but I'm talking about like people, I mean, especially retirees right now, where the baby boomers are flush with cash right now because they, spent a lifetime accumulating and saving. And a lot of them are carrying cash because of the fearful nature of what's happening around the world. But what they don't realize is that that money is eroding away at 10% right now a year. And this will continue probably for the next 2-3 years as the economy recovers here. This is not slowing down. Inflation will eventually level out here, but not for probably 2-3 years as the economy starts opening up again.
Wow.
Now, reverse that. And so $1 last year is now worth 90 cents this year.
Okay.
If you invested your dollar in, say, real estate, say, whatever, the stock market or whatever you want to do, right? Average over the course of the last 12 months, returns both in real estate and the stock market have been right around 20%.
Wow.
Right? So your dollar turns into $1.20.
Yeah.
Right. So you sit in cash and it goes down to 90 cents. You invest it, it goes up to $1.20.
It's
right
30%.
now. Yeah. So obviously I want to disclose there's risk. There's always risk. And you can potentially lose it all. I mean, so, I mean, you go talk to a professional and do your own due diligence and things of that nature. But this is what people with money are thinking about right now. So if I invested my money, my dollar turned into $1.20. If I kept it in cash, it turns into 90 cents. Now, that's a 30% difference.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You compound that number over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years here, and that number becomes massive.
Wow.
The difference in the opportunity costs. And Warren Buffett says the best, like most regular retail investors and consumers do not understand the danger and the risk of inflation. And if you work out the numbers, I mean, that's the reason why companies and corporations and the ultra rich right now are leveraging up to the tilt, because I can borrow at 2-3% and I can get an internal rate of return. Even at 5-6%, I'm more than good. So, I mean, it's just, I talk about these things just because these are the conversations. If you want to start looking, especially if you want to start getting to the high net worth, like $1 million homes. I mean, these are the conversations that they're having with their advisors, and you should be well equipped to talk about that.
Yes,
right?
You should.
So that'll be a difference maker for you in the marketplace.
And I don't know if you're aware of this, but right now there's a proposal in California in front of their legislature for inclusionary zoning.
What is that?
So my friend that's going to be on the show next week, he'll probably talk about this in more detail. He owns a home right under $2 million. So he is within a mile of public transportation.
Okay.
The house next to him, right, has a lot similar to his. An investor can come in and pay that homeowner 4 times the value of the home. I'll tell you why. Because with inclusionary zoning, that investor can build a 27-unit low housing income complex. Wow. So if I'm the neighbor of my friend, right, and I sell because I'm going to make 3-4 million, okay, and if that passes, I think you're going to see a massive exodus. To Vegas, to Arizona, to
Texas,
to
Tennessee.
But we're going to be right in there with them.
Right. Well, we're right in the path of progress.
Right. Yeah. And they're going to bring their money here, their education here, and like you said, the workforce could increase. I think the future for Las Vegas is just incredible because of and I don't know if the inclusionary zoning will pass or not, but I also learned that other cities are giving their homeless people one-way tickets to Los Angeles.
Yeah, right.
So now they have 50% of the homeless population in Los Angeles.
Right.
And it's becoming a very stinky city. And people are going to move. It's changing, and they're also teaching, like in the Palisades School District, they're teaching, part of their curriculum is CRT.
Which is?
Well, that's anti whites, anti-Asian, yeah. Because we've destroyed this country, they're saying, and I don't want to get political, but
yeah. Well,
it's I heard it on the news too. After my friend had told me about it, then I heard it on the news the other morning, but I was working, I didn't have a chance to. But I'm going to research that and find out more about it, because that is on the curriculum, and it's not good.
Right.
It's not good for the country.
Yeah, when I think when they opened the budget up to like $600 billion in California or whatever, $6 billion, or I don't know if it's 600, but it's probably like $6 billion is what they're going to spend on, low income housing, trying to help the homeless, and which is great, right? I mean, I think everybody needs to. I mean, as a society, we need to care for our own here, but it's getting to a point where I don't know if they're running that very well. Has it been effective?
You're from California. They're going to turn 5 beaches into homeless encampments. I mean, and there's some people that are filing lawsuits because they closed down Venice Beach already. And there's people filing lawsuits saying, look, I bought this home on the hill to look at the beach and the ocean, and this is what I'm looking at. And I don't know how far that's going to go, but I mean, there's people up in arms about it.
Yeah, there is. And that means more people move into Las Vegas. That's
right.
It's happening.
Yes.
They're trying to downplay it, but it's happening. I mean, more and more people that I talk to, especially high net worth people, I mean, they're becoming aware, because like you were absolutely right. I mean, especially in LA, if you live downtown LA or any surrounding area, I mean, the what used to be, beautiful, city streets now, I mean, you literally have homeless people just camping out right in front of your property, and you can't do anything about it. The police won't come. I mean,
no.
And so, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you move. That's what ends up happening. Right.
And I love California. I mean, it's it was beautiful, and I just hate to think it's going to be, in the way it's going. It's hard not to. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for homeless people. Don't get me wrong, but there was a study where they gave homeless people money to get a job, to move up, and they didn't want the money. They're happy. These people are homeless for the most part, not everybody.
Yeah, not everybody.
But that's their lifestyle. That's their culture. They're happy in that in that environment that they've created. So it's not like they need a handout.
Right. They don't. Yeah. And there's so many different government programs and stuff like that you can get, especially in California. I mean, they're flooded with programs that can help you if you're really homeless. I mean, there's a mental health issue and, drug and alcohol addiction and stuff like that needs to be addressed there. But, throwing more money at it is not necessarily the solution.
Right.
And, allowing them to do whatever they want, and telling the people who have, worked hard to pay taxes and to buy properties to make communities better, like deal with it. Probably not the right angle that I would personally take.
Right.
So, God bless California. I'm glad I'm out of there. The only thing I miss is the beach. And if you're telling me it's all going to become encampments, and I'm like, I might not miss the beach anymore.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I love Lake Tahoe now.
Right. It's beautiful.
Lake Tahoe's beautiful.
Yeah. It's 9:30. We've got a mortgage show to put up for everybody. Yeah. So let's see if we can do it. This will be something new we haven't tried before. So we'll see.
And if we need to stop it at I would probably, if it continues too long here, probably stop it at the 9:50 or something like that.
Okay.
So we can end the show and talk about what's going on next week in education.
Okay. I'm going to solo them on.
Okay.
No, it didn't show up.
Yeah.
I had a picture of it, but it's really cool. I'll show it next week. Okay.
Maybe tomorrow or next week or something like that. Let's bring our guests on.
Let's bring our guests on. Yes. They've been waiting and waiting patiently. There they are. Hi, Tom, my favorite character.
Ryan, right? Oh, Tom
I'm
Selleck.
talking about Tom Selleck.
Tom in the background, yep.
Yes, behind Susan Law Liberty is Tom Selleck. Let's start with that first, Susan. So, I mean, let me introduce them again. I mean, both Ryan and Susan are with American Advisors Group. They're on the show to talk about reverse mortgages today. But let's start with that. That was the first thing I saw. I was like, I didn't know if that was Ruth's other monogram that she puts on the show. But tell us a little bit about why Tom Selleck is behind you.
Well, Tom Selleck is our spokesperson. He's on all of our commercials for AAG. I'm sure a lot of people recognize, they kind of associate the two names together. Okay. So he's in a lot of my Zoom meetings with me and goes to a lot of my real estate meetings with me as well.
Oh, fantastic.
And he is our spokesperson for American Advisors Group, yes.
Have you met him in person?
Yeah.
Have you met him in person, is what Ruth asked.
I have not. I'm fairly new to the company. I started back in August, have never looked back. It's a great company, very good morals and values, but I have talked to a lot of other loan officers and just people throughout the company that have met him. He comes to a lot of the functions, from what I understand as well. So a lot of people have met him. I don't know if Ryan has or not, but a lot of my fellow colleagues, loan officers, have met him in person. So he's a great person from what I understand. Yeah.
Right. Ryan, have you met him?
No, not in person.
No. Okay, got it.
When I'm around, I like to ask people if Tom Selleck is a Magnum PI or Blue Bloods. Which one is he to use? For me, it was always Magnum. But
of course, Magnum PI. Come on.
308 Ferrari was my dream car.
Right, exactly, red Ferrari. Cool. He's driving under the truck. Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's the scene. All right. I always like to ask this first question. And this is to you, Susan, first. Then Ryan, you can chime in here. Las Vegas native, or you transplant from somewhere else? How long you've been in Vegas?
Myself?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been here. I'm probably going to give away my age a little bit. I've been here since 1968.
Wow.
So
okay.
My dad was military police, and that's what brought us to Las Vegas. We lived out at the Nellis Air Force Base for many years, and my dad retired from the military, went into the Marshal Service. He was a U.S. Marshal. So we stayed here in the Las Vegas area, and I grew up here.
Yeah, that was pretty much a native then.
A lot of
pretty
changes.
Much. Yeah. You've seen, yes. You've seen. Yeah. Were you here when part of the strip was still dirt roads? As far as that's so crazy.
Yeah, well, I really wish I would have, been more forward thinking and taking more pictures and keeping all of that stuff. It was, yeah. And I worked at the Sands Hotel 100 years ago, before they blew that up. And, I worked in human resources at the time and did orientations for new employees. And we would put together little slideshows of, what the strip used to be and the pictures that we used to come across and, the Rat Pack and what we had access to. It was just amazing. So I wish I could have had some of those pictures today.
Yeah, I wonder where they're archived right now. That'd be great.
I know.
Especially with all this digital art that's going on. I'm sure if someone put a montage together of the history of Las Vegas and the evolution over the decades, I mean, so great. How about you, Ryan?
So I'm actually in Southern California. I live in San Diego. So my ties to Vegas are back in college. We used to go there quarterly and make our contributions to the building the casinos and then come home.
Fantastic. Well, welcome virtually to Las Vegas. Thank you for coming on today. So Ruth's been wanting to have this show about this topic for quite a long time, obviously because of our demographic group here in Las Vegas, with the senior citizens and the retirees in the Sun City area and them having a lot of equity in their home. What has been the appetite for reverse mortgages First, let's start actually, before I ask that question, what is a reverse mortgage? And tell us a little bit more of the details of what that is and why people even want one.
Do you want to
Susan,
answer that,
go ahead.
Ryan, or do you want me to?
I can. Yeah, short version is it's basically a loan. The thing that makes it different than a traditional loan, that there are quite a few unique features, but the thing that people most notice is you have the option of whether or not to make payments. How often, if you make them at all. Most people set them up where they don't plan on making payments, so your payment flexibility is far greater than what you get on a traditional mortgage. A lot of people know you can make payments on them, so they can be structured like a traditional mortgage. You can have them with a line of credit, which adds some really interesting features. It's a revolving line that you can draw from. And so, it's fast. I come from the financial planning space, and I never knew what these were. When they reached out to me to ask me about them and see if I wanted to get involved, my first response was absolutely not. I thought they were a scam, that took advantage of people.
Mm-hmm,
right. And as I started doing the math, I was blown away by how these work, both in the purchase market, in the refinance market. And it's really been mind blowing. So I've been meeting now I've probably been in front of several thousand financial professionals and real estate agents. And I can honestly say in the last couple of years, probably less than 10 have truly understood how this thing works.
Sure.
So there's just a lot of not either bad information or wrong information out there. So it's fun to be able to, people like Ruth that say, hey, let's get the right information out there. This matters. People need to hear the accurate stuff. And so it's fun to be able to share some of it.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. There's a lot of confusion around it because it's a lot of moving parts, and we're traditionally taught to pay a mortgage, not to, get paid from a mortgage or have flexible payments. Right. And anytime anyone hears flexible payments now, the 2008 crisis kind of scares a lot of people about flexible payments and how that can balloon on them at one point or another. So we'll go into details. So have you seen, obviously the Vegas market, good demographic for the reverse mortgage product here? I mean, what's been the response? What's been the appetite for this type of product here in the Valley?
Yeah, so there's been, I started last August with AAG, and the response has just been great. I mean, with the low rates and the high equity, that could, that is the perfect storm for a reverse mortgage. The higher the equity, the lower the rate, the more they are going to get for a reverse mortgage loan. So, of course, it's age driven as well, but yeah, that is the perfect storm. So when they're living in their home, of course, on a purchase, it just really depends on purchase price and rates again. So again, rates have been at an all-time low. So it's just been a perfect opportunity. I was just amazed at how many people, through this whole epidemic were wanting a reverse mortgage. Mm-hmm. But again, I think people were doing a little bit of panicking too. What does the future hold? What's going to happen? People were losing their jobs. There were still seniors that were working and were being laid off as well. I've got seniors, I'm working with a gal right now that's 76 years old, and she's like, I'm tired. I want to retire. So, we still have a big part of our senior market that are still working. She's working full time. So, it's a great product to help those, to supplement, to get rid of their full-time jobs. But yeah, it's just a perfect storm right now with equity high and rates are still low.
Okay. So, you kind of mentioned it just briefly there, Susan, on why can you expand a little bit on the different scenarios and why someone would even seek a reverse mortgage? Yeah.
So, many different reasons why, as I just explained with, wanting to either get rid of a job, supplement an income, or purely just, for a little bit of fun money. Some people want to, and Ryan will get into this more too, is to just, instead of using their portfolio to live off of, they're going to use the equity in their house that is just sitting there not doing anything for them.
Right.
And again, he'll get more into that, but there's many, many reasons why. Everybody has their own story. I hear a lot of different stories, but mostly to supplement income, I would say. Because people have not planned properly. But that's not the only reason. And again, I'm hearing more and more, people that have money. I'm working with a couple of people right now that have, not multi-million, but a couple of $1 million in their portfolio. But they want to, but then they've got these houses sitting there that are doing nothing for them, $800,000-$900,000 houses that are paid for, that are just not earning any interest whatsoever for them. So they're like getting more smart about it. Like Ryan said, we're educating the financial advisors. So that direction is a whole different direction. Some people a lot of people, I think now with the pandemic and not wanting to go into healthcare or in-home facilities to age, they want to stay at home. So we're working with more in-home care providers to come in and age at home. So they're using the equity in their homes to stay at home and age. They don't want to go to retirement communities. They want to stay at home. So that we're seeing more and more too.
Yeah, that definitely is probably something that everybody's thinking about these days.
Yeah.
From a home care perspective and the nursing home with the debacle that happened last year. So that's a key point, because a lot of people who have a ton of equity, that's just dead equity, and they don't want to necessarily sell. They maybe want to tap into that, and they don't necessarily want to do a complete cash out refinance and then have a payment either. So that leads me to my next question is, can you do a cash out refinance for a portion and take some of the money? Say, for instance, I have like $800,000 in equity in a home paid off, right? And I maybe need $100,000 somewhere to do some renovations or whatever I need to do, whatever need I have, and then put on top of that another $200,000-$300,000 as part of the reverse mortgage. Is that a possible scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, we actually have an example of that we'll show you in just a minute here, but it's almost very similar to that scenario. What's cool is you could absolutely get the cash that you need in that example. So say you needed $100,000 for home renovations or whatever it is you wanted to do, but you can set that up as a line of credit, right? So think of like a HELOC, but with some additional features. Sure. Some of the key differences are, HELOC, obviously you have to make payments. So you have an interest only payment for 10 years, then it adjusts, and then your payment usually goes up or will go up. So you've got way more flexibility on the payment on that money that you're using. Second thing is it grows, which is probably one of the most unknown features. And I'll show you some math on this in a minute too, where you actually have a compounding growth of your line of credit, right? So you might say you get a $400,000 line in that example, that $400,000 available to you is going to grow each month. Whereas in a HELOC, you have to reapply, reappraise, requalify if you want more. And then probably most importantly, the difference between that and like a HELOC would be, I don't know if you had a HELOC in 2008, but you might know what happened to them. They went gone, right?
Exactly. So, the banks send you a letter and said, you no longer have a HELOC.
That's right. Yeah, which is usually not good. You hear people say, my home is my nest egg. This is my emergency vehicle. Well, that's great and all until real estate goes down and now it goes poof and you no longer have access to that equity. So in this case, you get access. It has a compounding growth rate to what you can access, and it removes the risk of the downturn of real estate. Once it's in place, you've hedged out that risk. Real estate can go down. You can still access that credit line at the compounding rate. So to me, that's one of the great features of be able to eliminate that real estate risk.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Like, all these products were great, right? When markets are going up 5-10% every year. But what happens if my home value, say, for instance, I do like say, let's take a scenario, and then we'll go into your presentation. I'll probably have more questions along that. So same scenario. I have an $800,000 house here, and I took out a reverse mortgage, cash out reverse mortgage, and $100,000 the balance. I have another $300,000 on the line, and then my house value just dropped 60%, let's say, and now it's only worth $300,000. What happens in that scenario? So
as long as you're living in the home, you still have access to that full credit line, right? Okay. So the line's in place as long as if you and your spouse both did it together, the second person, as long as one of the two of you is still living in the home, you still have access to that line.
Oh, fantastic.
So you're good. Yeah, which is huge. Again, another thing a lot of people don't realize.
Well, fantastic. Well, Ryan, let's get to your presentation. We're at the half of the hour here, and I'm sure I'm going to have some follow-up questions, and Ruth will as well. So
I'm going to hide me and Susan so we can pull up.
Well, Ruth, if you hide yourself, we can't hear you. So actually, maybe that's her. That's what she's trying to do. So let's. You just tell her when to hit the next slide, and she'll move over. So take it away.
Yeah. So what we're doing here? This is just something that we put together with that. I'll give you an overview of some of how this thing works, some of the mechanics, and then I just put together a few case studies that I think you might find interesting. And then again, you can ask questions along the way, however you want to take it. Sure. Really, this is around optimizing home financing. And what the easiest way to understand this is two things. One, it is just a loan. So a lot of the things that you know about a traditional loan are the same on the reverse structured loan, or in this case, what we call, we're going to mostly talk about the government insured reverse loan, which is technically called a home equity conversion mortgage, or you hear people say a HECM, HECM. So we'll talk a lot about that. But it does more than what a traditional loan can do. And so I like to say, it's more than just a loan. The same rules apply, but it has some additional things that does what nothing else can do. So go ahead, Ruth, if you want to click to the next slide there. So just some, who is this for? So if you're doing a purchase and you want to increase your purchasing power. So you mentioned earlier about, people from California or wherever coming to Las Vegas, being able to buy all cash. And that's a great option. But sometimes you don't want to use all your cash, or sometimes you may say, okay, I've got, $350,000 in cash available. And I go look at the homes that are out there and I think, well, these are great, but what if I could afford $450 or $500? But I still don't want a payment. I don't want the debt service. I'm on fixed income. So you can actually increase your purchasing power. You can do a reverse purchase. And so the very simple math I use, this is loose, but I say, take the cash that you have available, multiply it by 140%. And that could be pretty close to your purchasing power, right? So, if I've got, $400,000 in cash, I don't know what that is, call it 600 or something, a little more than 600 that I could purchase, probably about 550. So I can go get a place for 550 roughly. Right. And now I can buy a house. So what I could get for 450 now opened the doors to what you could get instead of 400 for 550. So if there's, real estate agents listening, think about the pool of homes at 400 versus the pool of homes at 550 and the opportunity that opens. And you can still get into that again, not have to make a payment as long as you're living in the home, which is kind of cool.
And it's good for those that it's a necessary tool right now, given all the offers that are coming in at the lower price ranges, and that extra 100,000, 140, 50,000 is a big difference maker.
Could make a really big difference. And, we talk to builders a lot around, using this as a tool where now you got additional cash for upgrades and things of that nature too. So really just opens the door to more purchasing power, which is, what people want when they're buying a home.
Sure.
Good for both families as well as the agents. If you own a home and you have an existing loan, rule of thumb, 50% or better equity position is roughly what'll work here. Mm-hmm. So a lot of opportunity there is, again, kind of roughly the math. It gets better than that as you age. You want to keep a cash available. So a lot of times, again, kind of same type of thing. We call it keep your powder dry, right? So I may be wanting to purchase, but I don't want to extract money from my investments. Or where we see this a lot is a lot of people's liquid assets are caught up in a retirement account. You may have an old 401k, right? And I think, hey, I could use that for down payment, but I pull 100,000 out of that becomes taxable income. I'm writing a check to the IRS for 30 grand. Right. You net 70 to take out 100 to get 70 is not great math. So there's a lot of ideas where you can show how to hang on to some cash. Again, for real estate professionals looking that work with clients that have large down payments, this is definitely something that you'll want to understand. And the way I share this with a lot of the families that we design cases for are what you're going to get is options and flexibility, as well as a level of certainty. And to me, when you're approaching your retirement years, options are what you want. How do I get more flexibility, more optionality to how I manage my cash flow? These past 18 months, a lot of the deals that we've been doing have been people looking to create that flexibility, which is what if I do lose my job? What if I don't or am unable to make payments for the next 24 months? I don't want to be at risk. So let me set this up, give myself that flexibility. I may go back to making payments once things stabilize, but allows me to not take withdrawals from my investments if the stock market's down. I'm not having to realize those losses and allow that portfolio to recover. So there's some great math around that as well. So options and flexibility are big. All right, next slide, Ruth.
Yeah, I'm here.
And you want me to
All right.
Pause
So some key concepts. This is just kind of the baseline parameters for this.
Want me
So
to
it's an
pause this?
FHA insured
Yeah,
loan.
let's pause this and then we'll continue. Yeah, we'll continue that show, to learn more about reverse mortgages another time. Kind of overran the first part of the show here, but
that's okay.
Sometimes the conversation lends itself down that road. So
right, and I'll put the link to the rest of
the
it.
video, sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
I just realized I need to smile more. My resting face is more of a frown. It's the age thing. You don't know, the collagen goes out of your face and you have a natural drooping frown now. So.
Yeah, you gotta smile. Well, yeah, I'll put that for people to watch because it's very interesting. And I do have the PowerPoint, and I was going to try to attempt to do it myself, but I thought, I understand the reverse mortgage, but there's some little nuances in there I might miss. So I'd have to watch the show a couple times before I could do it myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe we'll get Gary back. Gary's very good. I mean, Ryan.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure they want to come back, and they actually want to do a class in our training center on reverse mortgages. So yeah, it's a big ticket item here. So. Absolutely. And lots of there's a lot of creativity to it now, and there's not a lot of cost. The big thing about it before was it costs a lot of money to get a reverse mortgage, but it doesn't anymore. I mean, it would cost like $20,000-$30,000.
Right, because of the fees and stuff like that. Because now
it isn't. And I have a 30-page proposal. I had them do a proposal for me and John. And I'm, weeding through that, but I don't see any catches. So,
cool.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
If you end up doing it, you can actually really talk about it. Your true experience.
There you go. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I'm really on the edge because, we really don't have. I mean, we're probably going to do some things for charity. Well, we already have in our will. But John's son, my stepson, said, go for it. He says he's set for his life. So
okay, fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic. All right. So speaking of classes, Ruth, what's happening?
Oh my goodness!
This week?
Let's see. We have a very light week, which is good. You can't probably see this. I think we have a social media class on Thursday from 1 to 3:30, and it's a social media review class. And then Friday, we have our Brian Buffini. I think we're about on number 9, week 9. And we've even added some more participants. So that's going really well. This is his new version of 100 Days to Greatness, and it's fantastic. Jimmy and I are going to teach it again in the fall, in September. And then the following week, on the 7th, we have an agency class from 10 to 1. And then I think, is that 10 to 1? And then we have then on Thursday, from 2 to 5, we have the investor class, which is Do You Speak Investor, which is really, really good. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I told you, but Agent Formula has been approved for 4 more CE classes.
Oh, wow.
That we own. And we're very tickled pink about that. And we did the Be the CEO of Your Life. I don't know if I told you about that, but that came off really well. And we're going to try to do that every other month because agents actually took action and did what we suggested to do so that they have a business and they're building a business and running a business, not just putting their commissions into their personal checking account. So anyway, we gave them a formula for success.
Fantastic. All right.
So, things are popping. Because of the holiday, and then the 1st of June is Tuesday, and that's when Aaron Taylor does his EXP Lunch and Learn. And Wednesday, generally, we have staff meetings and things. So our classes are Thursday and Friday next week, and not CE. The CE starts on the 7th of June. Mm-hmm. So, and then it's every week for the rest of the year. So,
fantastic.
Life is good. Life is
good. Yeah, get your training in. Yeah,
everything good for you?
Everything's good. Just getting ready for the holiday, settling into the new house. Obviously, with this, we're doing a lot of changes. It's funny when you buy a new house, you don't think there's more stuff to do with it, but there's an endless list of ideas and things to execute on. So, All right, everybody. Have a great week.
Have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day. I won't
happy
see you
Memorial Day.
tomorrow, but I'll
Yeah.
probably see you Monday.